All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to another episode of Just an Introvert podcast. As always, I'm Abbie.
And I'm Amy.
Thanks again for joining us. This is now episode seven or
I
six?
think so. I
Oh
was
my
gonna say six,
gosh.
but I think it's seven.
Seven. Oh,
We're
wow.
getting
Dang.
we're getting close to 10. Like
That's crazy.
that
This is just
seems
like flown by. It's been awesome. But yeah, I feel like we just started. It's just like, oh my gosh, how have
mm-hmm,
we done so many? So
mm-hmm.
very cool.
Feel the same.
Oh, I know we're both exhausted, and
Yes.
we were just talking before we started end of the school year and me
Mm,
being married to a teacher, Amy being a teacher. It's just that like end of the year craziness. So we're hanging on. Is this your last week or do you
it
go another
is.
week?
I
Okay.
only have 3 more days. So
Yeah.
like I'm not teaching classes anymore, but there's so like I have to clean up my areas at school. And then there's just it seems like there's so many things going on in the evening and end of the year parties. And
I say it's all the stuff. It's less about school
yes.
itself and all the stuff
Hmm.
surrounding. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just kind
Totally.
of I see a light at the end of the tunnel, but
Feels so far away.
I feel like I'm still crawling toward it, but it's all good.
Yes. Almost there.
Yes.
All righty. So I guess we'll start with our little intro. So for
Yeah.
our icebreaker,
Mhm.
my icebreaker this week is, have you ever met a celebrity? If so, tell a little bit about the experience or exchange. I'm pretty sure that you have, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I'm asking this question. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be awkward if Amy's like, nope, never had. So I was assuming you have. So
Yeah,
tell us.
yes, I have. So I was in junior high and I was actually down in LA visiting my brother Kirk and his at the time girlfriend Valerie, your mom. And because I went to college at Biola, and it was I don't know if it was I don't know what we were down there for, if it was for an occasion or whatever. And we went with uh, your mom's family was with us too, and we all went to Ed DeBevick's, which is like a 50s diner in LA, and had dinner or something. And as we're eating, in through the door walks 4 cast members from Saved by the Bell. And I was absolutely obsessed with this show at the
Oh
time.
my gosh.
So it was me and then another girl, can't think of her name. It's who your Aunt Beth grew up with. But anyway,
Yes. Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So we we're
Yeah.
about the same age.
Yeah.
The same thing. She was obviously a fan too. And just like, I couldn't believe they were like in real and
Oh
in person.
gosh.
And at the time, you don't have a cell phone, you don't have
No.
anything. And so I
No.
grab a napkin off the table, and me and her run up to them, and we just like I guess at the time, like that wasn't a very introvert thing to do. I think I was just so starstruck I didn't
Yes.
care, and probably partially my age. It was just like,
Yeah.
and we ran up to them, and they were so nice, and they signed our napkin. And I mean, it'd be cool if I got a picture, but like at the time, it's not like I had
Not
a
a
camera
possibility.
laying
Yeah.
laying
Yeah.
around. And I
Oh
still
my
have that
God.
napkin like stored away.
That's
I
so
was
funny. I'd never heard that before. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
So we met
That's cool.
the character who played Zach, and then
Okay.
Kelly, and
Yep.
then Slater, which is
Okay.
Mario Lopez, and
Yep.
then Jesse, who's Elizabeth Berkley. The four
Wow.
mains,
I was
and
gonna say
like
that's like I'm
the
not familiar with
jackpot.
the show very much, but I'm like, I know who all those people are. So dang.
Yeah. So
Cool.
it was the most amazing like time. And both me and the other girl, I keep calling her the other girl, but like we were both just like it was
Yes.
just the
And to be caught
most.
off guard. It's not like you're going to like a concert or something and you're looking for someone. It's just they literally walk in too. That's
Right.
crazy.
And I don't even know today, like at my age, if I would be running up. So I think
Also,
partly age
yeah.
helped.
And I feel like with social media and stuff nowadays, I don't feel like celebrities would just like in a group, no less, just walk into a
No.
restaurant like that. There's no way they would just get absolutely mobbed. So,
And you just never know how they're going to act. So I think
yes,
my introvert side doesn't want to bother them. And so
totally.
if I see anybody now that might be potentially famous, I'm like, cool, but I'm not going to go approach them. What if they get mad?
I just saw
Uh,
TikTok today. Someone was at like a restaurant or Starbucks or something, and a celebrity like walked in and they're like, okay, so they put a Word document with like huge bold letters. Like, I can't remember who it was. It was like, hi, I love your work. And they're like, I'm sitting by the door. So hopefully when they walk by, they see my computer, but I don't want to
oh,
bother them.
oh,
I'm like, that's perfect. That's
I love
totally an
that.
introvert move. Yeah.
Totally. Funny. How about you?
Oh my gosh.
Have you met someone?
Kind of, not like
Uh-huh.
super. I haven't interacted, but the one that comes to mind, I was in junior high. We were at Santa Cruz, the boardwalk there,
Hmm.
with some of my friends, and they had, I don't know what the event that was there, but it was when Guy Fieri was just kind of coming into the
Oh yeah.
becoming famous. I guess he was on one of the Food Network competition shows. I'm not sure, and he won, and that's kind of how he
Yes, I
became
remember
popular.
watching that show at the
Yeah.
time. I can't remember what it was called, but
Yeah. So it was right after he had won that before he like did any of his own shows. And
mhm.
so the friends that I was with, they watched the show, they knew who it was, they're all excited. We go and take a picture and I have no idea who this guy is. So I'm just kind of like, standing there smiling, cool, whatever. And as we start to walk away, I like kind of lean over and whisper, I was like, "Oh, who was that?" And my friend's dad was like, "Abbie, you don't know who that is?" And
Oh,
as he says
that's
that, I glance back and Guy is staring at us. And I was
oh my
like,
gosh.
"Oh no."
That
I
sounds
was,
also like an awkward moment.
yes, I was so embarrassed. Not that I'm like, who knows if he even heard, but like,
Yeah.
I'm over here like, who the heck are you? So that was my first encounter with a celebrity, I
Well,
guess.
there
Probably
you
the most
go.
close up. I feel like I've seen, people from a distance, but probably the only
Yes.
one I've talked to.
Did you say you took a picture with them?
Yes.
Okay, do you have
I
that
was gonna
picture?
say, my friend might be able to find it. I should because I remember they had it up on their fridge like forever, and every time I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the time. I need to see if I can hunt that down because yeah, that would be a fun
Yeah,
one to have
that
to
would
find.
I'll have to look for my napkin and take a
Yeah,
picture of that.
your napkin of that. Okay, and then we almost got to kind of see the Twilight cast. Do you remember that in when we were in
Oh,
Disneyland?
yes,
Oh
yes.
my gosh, because I was like in high school. I must have been, I can't remember which movie had come out.
Uh-huh.
And my cousin was at the premiere in LA and like camping out, the whole deal.
That's
And
right.
she
I
had texted
forgot.
me and I was like, yes, we're going. And I was like, Amy, you need to come. And Niles or the kids were sick. There was something going on with
We got
your
sick.
family.
Hmm.
And I remember at the time I was like, why doesn't she just come with us? And now as like an adult with children, I'm like, that would have been horrible if you're like, peace out, Niles. I'm gonna go see the Twilight cast. But we saw them from like grandma or your mom took me. We saw them
Yes.
from like across the street. It was just like it was wild. But
Oh man, that's
yeah,
right. I
that's
totally forgot about that because when you
yeah.
said that, I was thinking of another time. Did you say we went to Disneyland?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were at Disneyland.
So there was another time that I went with my family, and I think Riley and I think it was Riley, and we saw from a distance Boo Boo Stewart. I don't know if you
Yep.
remember who he is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And of course we didn't go up to him or anything, but we're like, and it was right about the time that,
Yeah.
what probably the later Twilight movies where
Yeah.
he was in it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, who?
That's so funny. I know it's crazy. Even as an introvert, whenever I've been around celebrities, it's like this crazy something just like takes over you and you're just like
Hmm.
black out for a minute. I'm like, it's embarrassing how like giddy I've gotten. I'm
Yes.
just like, this is so weird just to have that like uncontrollable excitement. I'm like, I'm about to do something stupid. Yeah, it's funny how that happens, even with us introverts. But
Right, right. That's funny.
oh yeah, gosh. Okay, what's the would you rather of
Okay.
these?
So I don't know if we talked about our topic today, but we're going to talk about introverts in the church. And so this
Yes.
kind of has to do with church. So would you rather, when a slow song is playing, start clapping like it's a fast song, or stand at the back of the church when church is done by the door and ask every person who walks out who they voted for?
Oh, the
No.
clapping, hands down, no question there. I was like, maybe if you're, but no, 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 no way. Could never.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that, yeah. It would confirm my fear that I talked about that other episode of like hallucinating and standing up during church and like doing something, being the only one, but I would rather do that than talk to everyone, let alone about who they voted for. Like, oh,
So now I gave you a new fear to replace your old
yes, I
one.
knew. Yeah, we'll just add that on. What about you?
I think I would probably do the clapping because
Yeah.
I would just probably die.
Yeah.
Then ask the question.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I
No,
could
that
do
would be
it.
no, that would just be too much. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Uh,
Oh, oh, good, good. So yeah, today we are talking about introverts in the church and kind of our experience. And I was like, when we were prepping for this one, I'm like, okay, we just have to like preface this before we start. We both attend church. We love our churches. We're not hating on the church. We may go on our own little spiels of, experiences and whatnot. But if you're listening and you go to church with us, we don't hate you. There's just a lot.
yes, that's a
It's
good
a big
preface.
topic. It's
It
a
is.
good, a lot of introvert related things. And both of us kind of growing up in the church, that was a big part of our lives and a big part of kind of how have become the way that we are. So we thought it would be a
Right.
good topic to go over. So,
Totally.
yep.
Totally.
So speaking of church background, tell me a little bit about the churches kind of you've gone to throughout your life and just your overall kind of what that looked like growing up and stuff.
So when I was younger and growing up, I went to a big church. It was called Big Valley. And I was, I don't know how regular I was because I don't have a lot of memories of um, being real involved in anything else other than just the Sunday service. I think might have been in Pioneer Girls at the time. And so that was basically my elementary years. And then in my junior high years, we switched over to Orthodox Presbyterian Church, and that was really way different. So the first one was a non-denominational church, very big. The second one went to a very small, more, I would say, more conservative. Um, yeah, just totally different. So that was my junior high years. And then when I met Niles in high school, he attended a non-denominational, but it wasn't like Big Valley. It's called North Modesto Church of God, and that's where I still attend today. And so once I met him, my mom wanted me to wait till I was 16 to start, going regularly. I'd go occasionally and be sort of involved, but she still wanted me to, um, be with her. And but I wasn't super like connected to the Presbyterian church. And so once I turned 16, then I started going full time with Niles, and that's where I have been ever since. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, how about you?
Yeah, it's funny like hearing these things about each other. I don't realize how many things are so different with us.
Hmm.
Just talking about like school, like public private school, and with you, it's like, okay, you kind of got established at that church and you've been there ever since. And I've gone to lots of churches in my life, so it's just interesting. We have different experiences. But
Hmm.
so the first I don't know where we went. Like what I was born in Modesto and then we moved when I was like one. So I don't even know what church we went to when I was probably Big Valley, which is the church that you had gone to. That's where my parents taught. Where I went to school, it was a church and
Hmm.
school. But the first memories I really have are at probably a similar type of church, a little bit smaller, but a just general non-denominational one in at Atascadero, where we lived from like when I was one to like kindergarten. Um, and then, like I said, we moved because we moved. I don't really remember where we started going in Modesto, but I know the first one we kind of like consistently went to was a church called Zion. It's a Dutch Reformed church, so more conservative. I think it aligns with like Calvinist, I'm pretty sure is like the technical
Hmm.
whatever. We went there through like junior high for me, and then we started going to Calvary Chapel, which is kind of like an offset of its own denomination, I guess, and then ended up back at Big Valley once my parents both taught there. And that's where I went to school. So that's just kind of where we ended up. Some of that had to do with where we were moving, where we were living, and that kind of stuff. But and that's where we went through high school and everything. And then in college, that was a really interesting experience moving out of state and finding a church in college was really my first experience of like choosing where to go to church, because growing up it was always wherever your parents went, you just tagged along. But that was very interesting in the locate. We were in Phoenix, Arizona, and a big like college town area. So a lot of the churches like catered to college students. And I did not like a lot of the churches that it was a lot of like church shopping, and like you talk to someone, they go to this church, like, oh, we'll go with you this Sunday. And it was just none of them really stuck until my end of my first or beginning of my second year. It was a really small, I don't even know how we got there. It was a very small like missions based church, and then eventually it dissolved. So another year and a half, I feel like I just bounced around. And then my junior, senior year, my boyfriend at the time, husband now, we settled on it was a very small kind of non-denominational church. So again, a lot of bouncing around, a lot of different experiences. And then now, since we've been married, we went to a church for a while, but during COVID, as things changed and we kind of ended up stopped going there, but now we're at a church in Modesto called Redeemer. So we're really happy there. It's a smaller kind of non-denominational. I feel like I was like trying to look up the churches and like what I'm like, they're all non-denominational. There's nothing to explain what they are. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's where we're at now. We go with my parents, which is really nice because it's our once a week we'll go. It's in Modesto where they live and see them, and the kids hang out there. So yeah, it's kind of our where we're at now. But again, it's been interesting experiencing so many different churches throughout my life and
Yeah.
seeing a lot of different
Oh,
things.
I
But
bet.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's
Um
hard. And that's hard as an introvert to
it
go to start that process over and over again.
Totally. Totally. I think in college doing that like church shopping, I really disliked it because I have really distinct memories as a child of going to different churches, the times that we moved or changed churches, and
Mhm.
I always hated it. I hated like the new, okay, what's the setup? Who I don't know any of these people, like I don't want, just that
Mhm.
discomfort was so stressful for me. So it was less about like I don't even care if we like the church, just consistency, like just like do the
Exactly.
same thing and know what to expect and know what to plan for.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of changes in that. But what do you see as some of the best and worst things about going to church as an introvert?
So I was trying to think of best, which is so dumb because I know there were, I had to think hard on that. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe just being a negative person now, I could always think of more things on my worst list, but
same here.
um, so I put being with people who share your religious views. So that's comforting to know, we're all in this same place together, worshiping God, and we generally tend to think the same thing about our doctrine. And so that's nice to just have that. Um, you don't have to, hide around religious talk like you do with some people. For me, music has been a place that has really been awesome as an introvert because I can play music, express myself, and without doing any speaking. It's something I can do in my own comfort zone. So music has been a big part of my church going experience. So that's been a positive. And um, there's a lot of opportunities to work behind the scenes in church stuff. You don't always have to be the person in front. So there's lots of things to do where you can kind of be under the radar, but in the background. So did you just say best, or you want me to say the worst, or you want to do your
Um, yeah, go ahead and do your worst
worst?
list,
Okay,
and then
okay.
I'll probably then read my list, which I'm sure a lot of overlaps, but
So I have in all caps youth group,
same.
and then I wrote it again down further. So obviously, youth group is
Oh, yikes. Yep.
terrifying for introverts. I never liked youth group, even from
Mhm.
just when I was young and going to the kids program. I would just have rather have stayed in the big service.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, going to youth group, I did not like doing those dumb games. I didn't want to be, be trying to meet new people all the time. And yeah, it was just, yeah, it wasn't it. Um, and another thing at church is having to make small talk. I kind of feel obligated,
Mhm.
but it's just never comfortable. And then um the times where you're asked to pray in front of people, like that is the worst. And you're expected to sound like you're
Mm-hmm.
know what you're doing. And I hate that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
those are just a few that stand out
The
that
big
are
ones. Yeah.
yeah, big ones. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Same. I feel like the best things, my big overlapping topic was like connections. And I feel
Yeah.
like the ability to again like be somewhere where, there's a lot of people with similarities. I feel like that naturally like eases some of the kind of surface level topics. You kind of know, okay, they're probably have similar ideals as me.
Mhm.
And then kind of getting to that deeper level faster and kind of skipping the small talk because you kind of know where you're at already. I feel like
Yeah,
that's a
that's good.
benefit.
Hmm.
Um, and just being in situations like I feel like it can be such an extreme, like church type things where you're either like, okay, I'm so uncomfortable, I don't want to be here, or you just like mesh with someone and you're in this conversation and it's great.
Hmm.
So I feel like that level of depth is really nice. Um, but yeah, worst things, definitely youth group is top of
Yeah.
my list as well. The bane of my existence.
Oh,
Um, but that and the dreaded greeting time in church, which is
oh,
like if any
yes.
pastors are listening or anyone involved in church, make it stop, please, for the love of God. It's just, I understand what they're trying to do. I really get it. And I know we'll talk about this later, but when extroverts kind of tend to be the natural leaders of something, that it's going to be like, yeah, like everyone will just want to chat with each other. But no, introverts, we do not. But what sucks is like you can't get out of it because something I've
Unless you
always,
play flute on the stage. I
yeah,
was thankful every week. I'm like, oh, I'm
yeah,
so glad I'm in the
yeah,
worship band.
totally. But it's like I feel like a lot of, and not to generalize, but a lot of people in church have that like, oh, that person is sitting by themselves and I'm gonna go talk. And I'm like, that's not the vibe I'm giving off. I don't need anything. I'm not lonely. I just want to be by myself. Anytime I've gone to church, I've always gone to church with my family, but anytime my dad and I are sitting together, it's always like, hey, let's pretend we're in deep conversation so no one talks to us. Like, I have a lifeline. Meanwhile, my extroverted mom will just be like across the aisle, and I'm like, if I'm just with her, then I'm like, shoot, I'm by myself. I can't do this. But yeah, no, that definitely is the struggle. Thankfully, at the church I'm going to now, they do like the first little bit is like the worship music and they have all the kids, together with us. And then after that, take the kids to the class, which is during the greeting time. So I'm busy taking my kids to their class, dropping them off, and I come back and I'm like, oh,
Perfect.
greeting time's over, score. So shout out to my church for doing that right because
Perfect.
I'm like, I need, oh, otherwise it's just, yeah, so uncomfortable. But no, definitely youth group. I think, yeah, there was just it was just this high energy go 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 environment and I'm like there's no part of me that wants to do that. And a lot of times it would be like calling people out and like you have to do this crazy thing. It was like
Hmm.
the games and the like, here, eat baby food and then run in a circle. It's just like what does this have to do with anything? This is just humiliation and I don't want to do it. But again, I feel like as soon as you put off that like I don't, I'm good, I don't want to do this, then it was just like, oh, we're gonna put the spotlight on you and try to get you involved and embarrassed. It just is like,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. So uh,
Yeah, I
no fun.
remember. I remember when Riley was old enough to go to junior camp. Just it was the first time, and I don't know why I even worried because she's just extrovert
Yeah,
extraordinaire and
yeah.
didn't need me. But I was like, well, I'll be a counselor because I just kind of want to see how it goes. And luckily, two high school girls were like co-counselors with me. And I am so thankful they were there because they did all the like the pool games and things that I was like horrified to do. And when that week was over, I'm like, okay, you're good, Riley. I don't ever need to do this again.
You
I
don't need
didn't
me.
I didn't even need it to do it in the first place, but it was
Right,
just more of
right.
a me thing. But
Yeah.
even as an adult, I'm like, I can't even do this for my kid.
No, no, that's absolutely. I did a lot of like helped with the nursery and vacation Bible school in the summers, and I remember I was always like oh, you don't want to? Okay, I'll sit with you on the side, aka I don't want to do this either.
Yep.
So you're a perfect excuse, like 8-year-old who just is shy. I'm like, besties, let's not.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, always finding a way out was always but then
Hmm.
I feel like that's such a good like environment for the kids that are introverts. I feel like being older as an introvert in the church, you're like,
Yes.
okay, I see you. I'm gonna help you out and I'm not gonna put you on blast and make you do
Yes.
all this stuff. Like if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Come sit with me. We're good.
Right.
I feel like
Right.
that helping, what is it, pay it forward or whatever.
Oh my
'Cause
gosh.
yeah,
Okay, I have one more story. You
yes.
think come from about youth group. So I went um it was junior high, and I think it was the Big Valley youth group. I wasn't really connected to anybody, but they were going on a to a concert. It was at another held at another church, and it was Russ Taff was the singer. And at the time I really liked Russ Taff. I listened to his stuff. So we went to listen, and we ended up standing toward the front of the stage in our group. And Russ Taff, he's just like total extrovert and kind of got that Pentecostal vibe, Assembly of God type of thing going on. And he's just like, hey, we're on fire for the Lord and blah, blah, blah. And are you gonna like rededicate your life, or are you on fire? I don't know the exact words, but he literally looked at me, and he's just trying to keep it hyped. And I just sat there and stared. I would not react. And
Give him
he's
nothing.
he's kind of waiting. And I think I ruined his groove because I was not going to do. I just stood there,
No.
stone face, and he kind of like, oh, and kind of stumbled and moved on. I was like, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
it's
that's definitely a more humorous side of it. But I'm like, I remember so many times it was like everything really felt performative is the wrong word, but like, oh, if you need prayer, come walk up to the front and talk to this person. Or, oh, like if you were asking Jesus to be in your heart, you have to raise your hand. It was always like this public outward, everyone is going to see you, because like, yeah, everyone's
mhm,
closing their eyes during those times, but everyone is peeking. Like, come on, let's be real. Everyone's seeing what's happening.
exactly.
So it just always was so like almost pushed to like, hey, I'm not going to do this thing that I actually need because I'm so worried that, everyone's like just watching me. It just was so
Right.
stressful. It would almost like discourage you from doing the things that you wanted or needed because it just was so uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. The joys.
Oh, yes. Good times. Uh,
Do you want to do a new one? Because we have
let's
9
see.
minutes. What do you think?
So the next one is just introverts and extroverts in the church. Was
Yep.
this just what like their role is?
Yeah, kind of what that
I mean,
looks like.
I kind of think we could do this in
Yeah,
10 and then leave
cool.
the next segment for the
Yes,
mini trauma dump.
I know. Like, okay, cool. Okay, so now we'll talk a little bit about kind of introverts and extroverts in the church, what their role is and what that looks like. What do you think, Amy?
So, I mean, obviously, you need both in all areas of life, including church. And so I was trying to think about extroverts and their role in the church. They tend to be the visionaries and also the people. They're kind of the face of the church. They're the ones who are in the front. They're the ones that you see. They're the visible ones. And introverts tend to kind of work out like minor detail, like the visions that they have. The introverts are there to kind of hone in those details and kind of make it happen behind the scenes. So I think there's a good balance of them working together. I was talking to Riley about it and telling her, how do you see that working? She's like, well, the extroverts are oh man, I can't believe it just literally went out of my head. I should have written it down. Almost, I'm 47. I don't know why I thought I could remember it. Yikes. Okay, if it comes to me,
I was gonna say it's gonna pop up randomly. Feel free to interrupt when that
I
pops
will
back
tell
into
you.
your
She had
brain.
just a great analogy, and she literally just told it to me tonight, and now boom,
It's gone.
out of my head. So, but anyway, that's kind of my yeah, how I see them both
Yeah.
playing in. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think kind of a similar thing that you had mentioned before too, that like the introverts tend to be more in the background, the extroverts tend to be more upfront and involved. And I feel like
Hmm.
that stereotype, like a youth group pastor is gonna be an extrovert. And like even a
Hmm.
main pastor, I feel like is gonna be more extroverted. The people that are doing the children's stuff and all, I feel like the people that you see, I feel like are the extroverts, but there's also so many opportunities for introverts to help behind the scenes and not have to, have all that focus on them. So I definitely having both is beneficial and helpful, um and just having different personalities and different life experiences to, interpret scripture and write sermons, and just, collaboration, I feel like is the best way to do that. Because again, not everyone is going to want to be up front and in the spotlight, but everyone's going to bring something to the table for sure.
Yeah. When I first started going to North Modesto Church of God, our pastor, Pastor Dean Child, oh, I love him. Um, he passed away, I don't know, a few years ago, but he was so dynamic and just like we did these musicals, and it was all just him and his wife. They just made a great team, and what they brought to the church, just this energy just was just contagious, and I just look back on those years with a lot of fondness.
Mm.
Now, I didn't maybe there were things that were happening behind the scenes that maybe I didn't see at the time, but overall my experience and memory was really good of it, and I
Yeah.
just remember him just having that personality. It just attracts you to,
Yeah.
you want to be there, be around him. And so
Yeah.
that was, I'm not saying that's what you have to have all the
Right.
time, but that
Right.
definitely helped with the things we were doing at the
Yeah.
time. It really
Yeah.
gave energy to that. So,
Yeah, totally helps bring people in. And I feel like that's such a caveat of can be good or bad,
oh yeah,
depending on someone's intentions and
totally.
how, I soapbox that I will try not to bounce on too much, but just how much like, manipulation and negative things can happen when the scales are not balanced. I think either way, when you've got too much of one or the other, and like you want to bring people in, but then the substance to keep them and just all of that, like you
Oh
really
yeah.
do need both in all areas, not just, the stage or whatever, just everywhere needs a little bit of both.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, I remember what Riley said. Now,
Good.
when you listen to this recording, it's going to sound like I just actually remembered it. But what you don't know is while we were switching on to a new Zoom call, I called Riley and asked her what she told me. So fresh in my mind. So
Love it.
anyway, when I was asking her about introverts and extroverts in the church and like their roles, she came up with the illustration that, yeah, extroverts like plan the potluck, and the introverts are in the back, getting everything prepared and
Yeah.
cutting it all up. And
Yeah.
so I said, yeah, that's
Totally.
perfect.
Yes. Absolutely. That's
So
great.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So now our big question, I feel like this is where all of our random thoughts will go into, but how has being an introvert affected your spiritual life?
Oh boy, this one's
Here we go.
there's
Buckle up, people.
so many avenues and roads and things that this has had so many turns this has taken in my life. But basically, the feeling I got when I was younger was, in order for you to be a good Christian, we were taught that you had to tell people about Jesus. And that looked like going door to door or walking up to people that that don't go to church, and tell them. And that, of course, is just terrifying to an introvert anyway, even if you didn't have to talk about Jesus, but just walking up to someone you don't know is just absolutely, you know, a scary thought. And then sit and tell them about Jesus, but not establishing a relationship with them first, just walking up and, well, they got to be saved. So you have this kind of fear component behind it. Like, if you don't do it, it's all on you. They're not going to be saved. And so that was always just like, in the back of my mind, like, okay, is this something I'm going to get good at, or is this something I need to practice or pray about? I so that was just like, I don't know, it just never made me feel very secure, because that was just not something. It just that kind of thing scared me, and it just didn't feel right. I couldn't really express it at the time why it didn't feel right, but it just didn't feel right. And then going to youth group, the times I did go, I remember one time being very scarred by we were shown a movie, and it was about the end times and the rapture. And it was scary. And I remember at the end, our leader was like, "Oh, we don't want that to happen to you." And I just remember like going, is this what this is all about? Like, I
Mhm.
just don't feel, I'm scared to death now.
Yep.
Like, it's just this feeling of just constant terror. And just, yeah, so it just really made me never feel very secure in my faith. Because I knew just that was my personality was never going to be bold and just, say these things, go to the up these people. And so that just always made me feel very insecure. Um, and then, so that was just kind of in my youth. And then probably going to church in my 20s and 30s. Um, when I got connected at my current church that I go to, um, at the time I said that we had this dynamic pastor, brought in all these families. And so I just had a sort of built-in family. And that was for an introvert, when you have just a place where you already have friends established, they are having kids when you're having kids, and you just connect. And I kind of just put all my eggs in one basket. Like, this is
Mhm.
where my people are. This is, I don't really connect with anybody kind of outside church. This is where my family is. This is where I do everything. And which was great at the time until that wasn't there anymore.
Mhm.
And between we had a lot of pastoral changes, we had some things happen with the changes, the timing of things. People started, not everybody left, but people our age were, some of them were moving. And then COVID happened, and that, of course, affected everybody across the board. But already when we were kind of struggling with stuff, to get that on top of it was just an extra blow. And so we were just working so hard to keep everything together. And then all of a sudden, like, most everybody I knew had gone, and I didn't have that established place anymore. And I went, what now?
Yeah.
And that was, as an introvert, like, wait a minute, what do I do? It
Yeah.
was just really, really hard. And I kind of think, you know, I always think about, not that everything is God's teaching you something, but I'm like, is this God's way of showing me that I can establish relationships with people that are not in the church? Not that I never had
Mhm.
relationships, but I just never had them get close.
Yeah.
And now it kind of had forced me to look at the other people in my life and just really kind of establish relationships in places that I just wasn't before, because I didn't have to. I just had my little safe space. And so, like I said, I still attend my church. It's just, it looks differently than it did, but that's a lot of churches that happens to.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not just unique in that sense. And there's a way to navigate it now, but it just took a long time. So that really affected me. And then just going back to me not feeling very secure in my faith. I always kind of had that feeling like, I think I kind of really thought of the things that I did in my life that would help me get into,
Mhm.
Jesus died for your
Yeah.
sins and saved you. You hear that, but you kind of think of your own actions as kind of helping or hurting. So, when
Mm.
you're doing really well in an area, you kind of feel, pat yourself on the back. And then when
Yeah.
you aren't doing so well, then you just get discouraged. And I just kind of had that back and forth where you're just like, am I saved? Am I?
Mm.
And then I remember just going, God, I just want to learn more about the Bible, the Old Testament. So I just remember scrolling through podcasts one day and just, oh, here's one, 40 minutes in the Old Testament. Listen to that. And boy, that was no accident that he led me to that. So it's called 1517.org. It's a group, they're Lutheran based people who, some are, pastors. They're not all pastors, but they've all come together to help spread the gospel. And it was just in a way I had never heard before. And it really just changed. It made me feel more secure, really focused on faith instead of works. And not that not that that was drilled into me, but
Yeah.
like my own human mind just always went there. And so,
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, that's kind of getting off the subject of introverts and just more my faith journey,
Yeah.
but it's really helped me in being secure in my faith, feeling that freedom. And then when things aren't being going perfect at church, as far as like the families there or people, that I feel secure now. And then I know, hey, it's okay that I don't, not everybody, my whole friend group resides at church.
Yeah.
Some of them do, but I can also go to people that before I went, well, I don't know if,
Mm,
if 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 I should be hanging out with people like that. And
mm.
it kind of puts me on a pedestal when really I, we're all human beings
Yeah. Yeah.
and we all need God. And so it really helped me shift my focus to and just be more open to things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a
Yeah.
really rambling roundabout way of,
No, 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 it's great.
but yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
where my story has
Synopsis there. Yeah,
taken
no, that's
me.
great. Great. I
So
love to hear that. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I look at it kind of like chronologically, like just going through the different churches we've gone to. I look at that at different like stages of my life. So I remember like as a kid, it was very much the, evangelical Christian movement and a little bit more on the conservative side is where, my family was at that time. And same thing as what you're saying. I just remember so much pressure and so much about going out and telling people and sharing, and that was so overwhelming for me. But I felt like something was wrong with me because I had zero desire to do that. It was like you would hear, like, oh, if you're uncomfortable, that's the Holy Spirit leading you. And looking back, I'm like, hey, no, that was my anxiety. Like that doesn't always it's not like, oh, you're in this situation. It feels like, oh, you feel something stirring, go for it. Like, or, maybe that's you saying, okay, like, let's step back. Let's like relax a little bit. So I really think that I've talked about like being an introvert masked anxiety a lot for me. And I think some of the church teachings masked that too, because you're like, well, it's just the Holy Spirit stirring. And so yeah, in a similar vein, like you feel like this weight and this pressure of like people's eternity is in your hands. And I remember somewhat recently listening to a artist who had grown up in the church, and I really like her perspective on a lot of things. And there's a line in one of her songs that said something about being too young to lead people to the other side, and that really like connected with me. Again, it's like that responsibility at such a young age, and it's like I'm not even comfortable going up to the cashier at McDonald's and asking for a hamburger. Like, if I can't do that, I'm supposed to be like, hi, let me tell you about Jesus. Like, that was so, so
Hmm.
overwhelming. And that was always so hard. But again, I internalized it because I thought there's something wrong with me. And like, well, this is like my thing, my sin that I need to work out and fix. And so it put that perspective that I was doing something wrong, or, like just missing something. And I think it led to a lot of like unanswered questions and not feeling like I could participate and open up about things, because I just felt like I don't have a desire to do this. Something is wrong with me. um and switching churches, like a lot of that was just the nature of our life. It wasn't, anything that anyone did wrong, but not like feeling that full establishment with relationships, because that's what got me there. I do have fond memories of I feel like as a kid, a lot of times I would end up connecting with the adults more than the kids. Like I have
Hmm.
memories of teachers and different things. And I think um, I was always been mature for my age, so I just, would get their sense of humor and just would connect more on that level. Then again, I'm like, I don't want to go play the games. Like I want to, have some depth. So when I was in junior high and we switched churches, just at that age, that was really rough. And I remember, I think I still, from that time, I still went to the youth group at the church I had attended before. It was a smaller church. And I stayed at that youth group all the way through high school. And that was such a positive thing for me. Like your typical youth group at the bigger church that we were attending, I mean, 100 plus kids, and it's like break into small groups and big activities and all this stuff. But the youth group that I went to, it was like literally 8 kids. We would go to someone's house, eat food, and then like have our little discussion and then hang out. It just was such a perfect environment for me. And
Hmm.
I'm like, that was such, I don't know that I would have like gained much from a big church environment, a big youth group environment. It just would have been so much of this like tension, holding back, just get through this part, get to the small group. Like again, we've said it so many times. I'd rather sit and just spill my guts than have to do any big performative thing. So I really think that that was formative during those younger years. And then again, being in college and kind of like having to make that my own and trying to make those decisions. I just remember so many situations where I was, having a conversation in class or whatever, and I'd find myself just parroting what had been fed to me my entire life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why I'm saying what I'm saying. And like
Hmm.
the people I've been around, I would say, whatever you're supposed to say, and they were on board. But then being around other people from different backgrounds and Christian, non-Christian, whatever, it was like, oh, like you're asking me why, and I have no idea. So it really was this just time to figure out, okay, why do I think this? Why do I believe this? And I feel like that really started a lot of development in me that's still kind of going on. And like you said, COVID was definitely a big factor for me just that time. And it wasn't just the pandemic, there's so many other things going on in the world, but the
Hmm.
church we were going to at the time was kind of what my husband and I had like found this church, after we got married and we were established there and it was good. Um, and it was just kind of a disappointing experience to see things change and just kind of go in a way that we just didn't feel was like right for us. And changing that was hard. Feeling like we'd invested and been like, yeah, this is where we're at, and then being like, oh, okay, we got to change our minds.
Hmm.
That was hard. And I think that really prompted kind of where I'm at now, which I know some people like have a negative view of this idea, but just the idea of deconstructing. I know that it's a term that, again, some people see in different ways, but the way I see it is, thinking about deconstructing a house or any sort of thing where you're just looking at this whole, taking it down to the pieces, looking at those pieces, reassessing, and then going from there. So I feel like that's where I'm at. And again, like looking at a lot of the experiences I had growing up and how that's shaped me. As an introvert, I feel like I'm learning some skills that I wish I would have learned as a kid. And I remember in high school there was a project. I think it was our senior year Bible class. Uh, it was, and looking back, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I don't want to be so critical, but it was, I want to say there was different, like, it was the end of senior year Bible, is my senior year, and you would get more point, like, it's the beginning of the year, you had to interview people in your life and ask them questions, people that you knew, and then it escalated to like people that you kind of knew were more acquaintances, and then at the end it was like you literally are supposed to go and interview for random strangers and ask them all these questions about God and what they believe. And I was just like, what in the world? Like,
Hmm.
why are we doing this? Like, I mean, high also could be kind of dangerous. Like, where it just was so uncomfortable. And thankfully, I was, best friends with an extrovert, and we could do it in pairs. So I was like, girl, that's all you. Like, I will hold the camera. There's no way. Um, but yeah, it just felt in the moment, it was like, this is what's expected. This is what's normal. I gotta just buck up and do this. But now looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have been able to identify like, this is not this is not something I'm comfortable with. This is not like everyone in the church doesn't need to be that, not everyone
Right.
needs to be on the stage because then it would be a train wreck. And so I
Right.
think, wishing I had more of an understanding and a perspective on myself as an introvert and what that meant and who that made me, and that it, again, it wasn't anything wrong with me. It wasn't like I was missing something or was doing something wrong, and that I could have the freedom to challenge that a little bit, because that's
Mhm.
another kind of facet, which again, I'm like, I will hold my soapbox back. But just being raised as a woman in that kind of church environment, there wasn't a lot of room for asking questions and pushing the
Mhm.
agenda, and that wasn't you weren't trained to do that. It was
Yeah.
obeying and submission, and you were told what to do and kind of how to do it. And now I'm like, I find myself in those patterns that I'm like, again, I wish I would have been able to identify like who I was, and learning how to just ask questions and be more vocal, and not just kind of cower down and say, okay, whatever. But
And that
again,
was just so
there's
ingrained in
lots.
the culture at the
Yeah,
time
it
because I think
was.
it was just across the board
Yeah.
how we were supposed to we're told how to feel and how to
Yep.
act. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are
Yeah.
seeing it through a different
Yes,
light
absolutely.
now.
And even just having extroverts be at the front of things, I think that's just the natural way it goes. But when you see an extrovert doing certain things or going about, even just like worship, like the
Yeah,
physical act of like raising your hands and doing those things, like I'm not comfortable doing that. That's not
right,
my jam. And then the expectation of like, oh, like look at them, this is what they're, like if that's the model, it
right,
almost says like that's how you should be doing it, and if you're not, something's wrong.
right.
And one of my pet peeves was always like when worship pastors would be like, well, if you were at a football game for your team, you'd be cheering, and I'm like, no.
Oh,
I would still be sitting in my seat quietly.
right.
That's how I live my life.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe if I was at a Taylor Swift concert, but
Yes.
like
You know,
it's just like the expectation of like, well, if that's how you are in your life, that's how you should be at church. And it's like, well, that's not how I am in life. So,
yeah.
yeah, again, just pressing those expectations that are not true to who you are.
Well, then always building up, you got to have these on the top of the mountain experiences to really truly experience God. When really, when you're at your lowest, is when He's the closest to you. When you're down,
Yeah,
prostrate, you know, lost hope, just
yeah,
everything. That is when the lower you are, it's not the higher you are, you reach
right.
Him. And so and it's all based on feelings.
Yeah,
Like feelings come and go, and like that's not a determined thing of how your relationship is with God because of your outward expression.
yeah,
But that's what
right.
we were always taught.
Yep,
And just and the other fact, that I talked about, like not even building a relationship with someone,
yeah,
like having just this urgency, like God has left it all in your hands. It's all up to you. And like, wait a minute, I think God is bigger than all this. I think he told us love your love your Lord your God and love your neighbor. How do you love your neighbor? Well, you develop a relationship with them. You do things for each other. It's not saying hi and here, you know, you show how his love in your life by the acts that you do for your neighbor.
yeah,
And you do that because you already know that you are saved despite what you do. So you're not doing it out of, well, if I do this, God's going to be like,
yeah,
you do it
totally.
because then if you're doing that, all you're thinking about is, am I doing the right thing? You're not even thinking about the neighbor. But when you have that stress taken away and it's that secure feeling that I am saved, then when you do things for your neighbor, you're doing it for your neighbor.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And kind of going off that idea of relationships, like when, you're in a church environment and you're making those connections, when you then, need something or need support, it's with someone you've developed a relationship with. As an introvert,
yeah,
you're not like, I'll be honest, I don't think I would ever be comfortable walking up to ask for prayer from someone that I don't know. Like
yep,
there's no way that I'm going to do that. Like that's not going to be helpful. That's not going to be anything. And I
mm-mm,
do remember times at church where, they say that like, oh, if there's something, and I had stuff going on. I had stuff, but I'm like, going up to a stranger, that's not going to help me. Like I need relationships, and I need someone that I can just go to that I trust, and that I want to talk about, and I know I'll trust their advice. And even just like bringing down that barrier of like, I don't know you, and I kind of have to like, okay, be like a mini extrovert to get through this like I just need to be myself and let
mhm,
let that go. um and if I'm not comfortable and I don't know you, I can't get to that point right away.
exactly.
So, and this is like bouncing back to, I can't believe I didn't put this on my list. Worst things about going to church. Um, Women's ministry.
Oh my
I can't believe we didn't
gosh.
talk about this, but
Ugh.
It's horrible, guys. I'm sorry. Again, no hate to church people, but like, oh man, I've never gone to a women's any sort of event that I've enjoyed. Like it's just it's not for me. It's not at all. Like no, there it's the desire and like, there's I'm sure there's a good intent and a good heart of like, oh, we're gonna connect women with each other. But I'm like, I've gone to some where they're like, okay, we're gonna intentionally split you up with the people you came with. And I'm like, okay, nope, you lost me there.
No,
Or,
no, don't do
like
that.
interactions. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do any of this. Like, I'm
No.
sure it works for some people, but you are just, and even I was talking to my dad about this over the weekend. Like, even if you intentionally, explicitly say, like, oh, if you're shy or introverted, it's okay. Like, if you point that out, you've almost just made it worse. Cause then you're like, okay, now as the introvert, I'm like, okay, well, apparently you're making this better for me, but you're not. It's not. Like, I'm sorry, but it just, it, when again, I'm trying not to just like rant and soapbox, but when the people in charge and planning tend to be more extroverted, they're planning for the extrovert. I don't feel that there's been plans made for the introvert, like, um, without making you feel left out or standing out or sitting in the corner and like, oh, what's wrong with her? So, that's just ramblings of my brain. But
No, I'm
yeah,
with you. I don't wanna go to tea and make bracelets and talk about my feelings. I just don't. I'm sorry.
no, nope,
And I think honestly, all this stems back to in the youth group when they would split the boys and girls.
yes,
Girls, we need to talk to you about purity and how you're dressing. And then what do the boys do? Oh, they're playing volleyball.
yes,
Okay,
totally.
well, so yeah, then we get
Yeah,
into the whole gender thing. But yeah,
yes,
women's ministry,
yes,
sorry, it ain't it for
yes.
me.
Yep. Same. Even mom stuff. I've tried. I remember when I was a new mom and it was like COVID was just kind of relaxing and things were opening up and I'm like, I need a community. Against all my introvert like red flags, I went to a couple moms groups, like local ones that were not the church I was going to, but just, oh Lord, that was a mistake. Oh my gosh, it was just so uncomfortable. And it's like, I know there are people with great hearts here, but
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, it was so, and to push myself so far out of my comfort zone and just like I want to go home and never leave the house again. It's just not,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if there's, but again, I think the less churchy the church becomes, I think the easier, it is to just have genuine, people
Yeah.
and connections and situations where, you talk to someone at church and you spark a relationship and it's good and it's not like this formal set thing. And I think separating, whether it's gender or singles ministry and marriage, like you don't need the two. That
No.
okay, that's not helpful. Like don't push these tiny group, like just
Don't
let people be
segregate.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't separate because like, oh, well, you have things in common. Like, okay, you have a thing in common, but there's a lot to be learned
It's not
from
your
other people.
identity. It's not
Right.
your identity.
Yeah.
And women's ministry, I know a lot of women like to do it, but
Yeah.
it's okay to be someone saying, I don't like, you can not like it.
Yes.
There's not
Yes.
something wrong with you.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Totally.
yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I forgot that one too,
I
because
right?
that was,
Maybe we're so scarred we just blocked it out, just like, but I love that. I love that. I'm
yikes.
like, I'd rather go with the guys and what is it?
Yes.
Camp and throw axes and
Yeah. Why aren't we
I
doing
roll.
those?
But yeah, like
Yeah.
just let just don't gender everything. Like, come on, just let people be people, for goodness
No,
sakes.
exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I feel like I rambled. Who knows if I stayed on topic or not, but
feel like we both just needed a little recorded therapy
we
session. So
I think you did. I feel better now.
yes. Yes. Oh man. But again, all that to say, if you're a church leader or anything like that listening, we do love you and we do know that deep down there's goodwill. It's just how do we do it the right way? And I don't necessarily have an answer, which is hard. I know bringing a
Yeah.
problem without an answer is obnoxious, but I think just again, less of the performative, like, okay, we gotta like go all out to do this and just like be a person and, interact with other people and not make it such a pedestal leadership, like, oh, I had just come down to earth and just interact.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all where we
Yeah.
all need to fit into this mold. where we've felt like we've had to fit into this mold in other areas in
Yes.
school and life, and it's not.
Yep. Yep.
It doesn't have to be that way, and that there are people out there who love the Lord just as much as the person being loud, and that shouldn't be a
Hmm.
determinant factor. I don't even know if I'm using that word right.
Yeah. No, I totally,
You know what I mean, but
absolutely, I do. Yes.
oh my
Oh gosh.
goodness. Woo.
Well, that was
We did
that
it.
was we did it.
We were
We
both
knew.
like, this can be a long one.
We knew. We'll see how many minutes it actually is and what we'll do with it. But
But
no,
I
it's a
think
good.
we kept it pretty,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
we stayed on topic more or less. We
Yeah,
came back.
definitely. We did.
Oh
We
my
did. We
gosh.
circled back around.
We always did. Alrighty.
Oh,
So now on to our a little bit lighter kind of fluff to end things. Awkward moment of the week. Let's hear it, Amy. Was it in a grocery store?
and it was not. It was
Okay. Great
not.
job. You're
I
avoiding.
have
You're
had
learning.
a break from that for a while, but this happened at school the other day, and it was with um there's a yard duty after school. We have yard duties at our school after school who help with the pickup process, and so there's always one in a yellow vest out in the crosswalk. And so I was leaving that day pretty early while the gates were still open, and I walked out, and she's really friendly, and I can't remember if I said something first or she said something first. I think I said something first, and I'm like, bye. And then she said hi, but like kind of at the same time. And so then I'm like, okay, I got to pivot to she said hi. And so I'm going to say, how are you? And then I think in her mind, she pivoted like, have a good week. So we were just like not connecting. And I think it was, I don't think she thought anything of it. But in my
Right.
mind, I'm like, that was really awkward. I
Oh
was
my
just trying to,
gosh.
yeah, anyway, but
Trying to
I'm
correct
sure
it,
I'm
but
making a way
overcorrected.
bigger thing
Oh,
and
yes.
probably didn't even remember that
Oh my
happened. And I'm
gosh.
sitting there still thinking about, oh,
Yep.
so dumb.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
anyway, how about you?
So mine happened in church. It was perfect.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
again, we go to church with my parents. My parents are great supporters of the podcast. And like as this was happening, my dad literally leans over and he goes, "Is this going to be your awkward moment on the podcast this
Oh,
week?" I was like, "You know it." So our church does communion at the end of every service. So it's like
mhm.
a get up, grab the communion, go sit, and they do the lead thing and whatever. And so we like right before they started, sometimes it's like the message ends and they like transition into community. You don't really know when it's going to start. My husband had gotten up to the bathroom and it so happened to be right before they start the communion. So we get up to get our stuff and I'm like, okay, I'm going to grab his for him. So we sit back down and they're like going through it. And I'm like, so I'm holding both of ours. It's like the little cup and then the individual little crackers. So I'm like trying to balance both. And then I'm like, he doesn't come back by the time they just get through. Sometimes it's like a whole spiel, sometimes it's just like bam, bam.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I'm like trying to hold his and take mine. I can't set it down like on the chair or on the floor. And I'm like awkwardly, and of course, my dad's just like chuckling at me the entire time. Then thankfully he got back, and I'm like, I held your communion for you at great cost. So please enjoy this. But even worse was months ago. Well, it was when we first started going to the church. It was like during COVID, they had the little
Uh-huh.
cups that had the
Yes.
cracker sealed on top and like
Uh-huh.
whatever. They would sit them on our chairs. Didn't know it was there, sat on it like half the service, stood up, and I was like, yep, I've been sitting on that. And of course, as a woman wearing light colored pants with a giant red stain on your butt is just like, get me out of here. Thank God for the long sweater I was wearing. But yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
Well, you just have a habit of sitting in things.
Oh my gosh.
This is a story from long ago, but when Abby was little,
Classic.
we went to Long John Silver. It was part of our Christmas tradition, where we went before Christmas lights. And I was playing with her. I picked her up, sat her on the table, and right into a big bowl of coleslaw. So, that's the
Classic
tradition lives
McCall family
on.
story. Yep. Sitting in
Exactly.
everything. Oh my gosh. All right.
Uh,
What's your recommendation for this week?
so I think I'll go with 15, 17. I talked about them a little bit. That really changed my faith. I mean, not changed it, but just really helped. I was needing help, God. And I really feel like it was God leading me to them. So
Mm.
they have a lot of podcasts, they have books, they have YouTube channel, but It's all good, but probably the one that's my favorite is 40 Minutes in the Old Testament, and they go every week. They just go at their own pace. So they've been doing it for years, and they're in Job right now, I think, and it's led by Chad Bird, who's just an amazing teacher, and I've just learned so much and just seen Christianity from just a completely different perspective, and I just learn every week and every day. I just learn so much from them. And so I recommend, that's a great podcast, but honestly, just if you go to 1517.org, it's just a treasure trove of stuff. So we'll link that in the show notes. So
Yeah,
how
very
about you?
cool. So, on Friday, was it Friday? It was Friday. I got the lovely summons to go to jury duty. I didn't get
Oh,
select. I actually like it was a good experience and I've never actually been called. So I was like, okay, and we have this beautiful brand new courthouse in our county, and so doing all that. And while I was there, of course, the first thing that pops to my mind is the show on Amazon, Jury Duty. Have
oh,
you watched that? Yes.
yes.
Oh my gosh. That was the only thing in my brain the entire time because when I watched that show, my
So
first thought was if it was me, I would come off as the world's worst person. The thought of like a camera catching all like put you in uncomfortable situations and see how you react. Everyone would hate me. The guy, I can't remember his name now.
I forget his name
The guy they
too.
picked was like I mean just like the most genuine, sweet,
He
amazing
was.
human
He was
being.
like the
I'm like
perfect,
who,
the
like
perfect
teach me how to
person.
live my life. You're amazing.
I know.
But again, I would not come off well at all. So I'm like, is that my like I love watching the show, but I'm like my living nightmare. So while I was at jury duty, that's all I was thinking, and now I'm gonna rewatch it because when my husband and I first watched it, I'm pretty sure I was fairly pregnant, so this gives an excuse, but TMI. I literally peed my pants from laughing so hard because it's just that show is hilarious. There's nothing like it. They'll never be able to recreate it. It is just it's fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
I completely agree. And
And if you haven't seen it, I'm like talking about it. Basically, it's they set up a fake jury duty scenario for this guy. There's only one person who's not in on it. The rest of them are actors. They basically put them through all these crazy scenarios and just watching his reaction, how he adapts, how he handles it all. And again, he is fantastic. He does great. I'm like, I don't know how you have that much social skill to to handle everything because I would just be like, these people are crazy and I need
yeah.
out. But
And
yeah.
James Marsden was the
Yes.
one like known actor. I
He
mean, they were
played
all
himself.
actors, but
Yeah.
he played himself. And oh
Yep.
my gosh, it was
Oh,
it was so funny. And that guy was
so
just
good.
so like he was the perfect
He
person
was.
to
He
be the
like people were
candidate.
doing again, they were just like amping things up to make it awkward, but he was just so nice to all the weirdo. Oh my gosh. It
Oh,
I love him. He was
oh.
great. That was just such a funny show. Oh my gosh.
That was, yeah, definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. Yeah, if you need a laugh, if you're involved in school like us and you just need a laugh at the end of the craziness, watch that show.
Hmm.
It is well worth it.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for listening to another episode and a lot of
Yeah,
rants and random things, but I feel like it was a good and kind of gave you a good sense of us and it's fun. I'm really enjoying where we're at with this and
me
I
too.
can't wait to keep going and
Yeah,
fun things in the future, but
I know I keep getting ideas
yeah.
and just because you think, well, what are we going to talk about next? But
Yep.
then I go, well, we could talk about this. There's really just
Yes.
lots of topics we can expand on, and
Absolutely.
so. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm having, and when school's done and my brain's working better, I might be a little more coherent in my thoughts, but it's okay. God still
Always
loves
comes
us.
together. What is it in if you grew up in the church Veggie Tales? Oh,
Oh,
what's the what is it? He made oh gosh, dang it. Now I'm having a memory. What they
it's
said at the end.
oh,
Okay,
that's
then he
right.
loves you very much.
Much, yes, got yes, yep.
Okay, we're trying to figure out how to end our podcast, then we should just play the
We should. God loves you very
very
much.
much.
Okay, bye. That's not awkward or
Oh
anything.
gosh, love it.
But yeah, if
All
you have
right.
any questions for us or
Absolutely.
comments on
Always.
any stories,
Yep.
church related or anything else, reach out to us. We love connecting with people, and yeah, just having a great time.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for listening. Have a good
yep.
week.
See you next time.